I'm co-founder of Cenosco, and I will be facilitating this webinar today. Today's topic is streamlining your Flange Management Program. And let me start with introducing our guests. We have invited two industry experts to shine some light on this matter. First of all, Zakary Scheideman and Luiz Curado. Zach has worked for Shell for 10 years as a stationary tech support with background in engineering and has a great experience with Flange Management Program. He is located in Fort Saskatchewan in Canada. Luiz is an engineer with a postgraduate degree in safety as well as an MBA. With over 18 years of international experience in inspection and integrity, he's currently a solution engineer manager and a trainer at Cenosco. So before we start the discussion, let me just outline the framework of this. We will start by discussing what a Flange Management Program is, and then we will explore how a Flange Management Program can be streamlined. We will be looking at the different elements of a Flange Management Program, and for each element we will explore the ways which it can be streamlined, also considering how things were done in the past. At the end, we will have some time to answer your questions. We have already received a few up front, but please feel free to put any questions that you may have in the chat. And also please note that if for any reason you experience a bad connection on your browser on your side, a refresh of the browser will bring you back into the webinar. So let's get started. Hi, Zach. How are you today?
Doing good, thanks. How are you?
Thanks for joining. Great, thanks. Good to have you. Hi, Luiz. Good to see you again. How are you doing?
Good. Hi, Marcel. Hi, Zach. Good to be back again after some time.
It's been a while. Good to have you guys both in the chat. So, Zach, let me start with you. Our topic is streamlining your Flange Management Program. But first, why do we need a Flange Management Program?
We figure you need one to manage the HSSE, or the health, safety, security, and environmental risk that will result from an LOPC, or loss of primary containment, and ensure leak-free site operations. That includes like a leak-free startup after a maintenance activity, but also the long-term running of the plant. That's how we define. That's why we think we need one.
That's a good start. I think I heard quite often also that flanges can be the most significant source of leaks on the site. So I think you probably get a lot of attention on that. So you just spoke about LOPC, or the loss of primary containment. We would say that those are basically leaks, or is it the fancy term about to talk about leaks at the end?
Yeah, we use LOPC just because leaks. When you think of a leak, it could just be a drip, right? But leaks, or LOPCs / leaks, kind of encompass a slow drip or a massive blowout, right? I just feel a leak doesn't give it the significance it needs, right? So
clear. To ensure a leak-free site, I would say, or no LOPCs. So how would you define a Flange Management Program then, Zach? What is it?
How I define it is a process that monitors the status of flanges using a tagging system that clearly identifies all flange breaks within work scope and ensures that their disassembly, reassembly, and reinstatement is done in a safe and consistent manner in accordance with site and industry standards.
So when you say about integrity status, what does status? You might get it from different perspectives. What does the status mean for you in that Flange management program?
So basically, during a maintenance activity, I want to know the status of that flange at any given point. So is it opened? Is it blinded? Is it broken? Is it fitted up? Is it torqued? And then finally, is it QC'd for final sign off?
Yeah,
we want to be able to track every single step of that status of that flange.
Okay, so it covers the whole, let's say, flange life cycle. I think people like fancy terminology. So even you look at that flange life cycle from the design all the way to to the maintenance, to the operation and maintenance, and your QC'd. I like your Canadian abbreviation for quality controlled. So these, so in your view, the maintenance and the quality control are quite critical, right, on that management system?
Definitely, yeah. We track the status of all the flanges and put them back together according to standards. This makes it so we are ensure that we have everything completely done to site standards when we go to start up, right? So it's very, very important to us.
So it's a process really to ensure the flanges are maintained properly. Did flange management programs always exist at your site? How did you look at it before you started streamlining?
We basically started introducing flange management probably 15 years ago at our site. It really took off here around 2010, I'd say. Before it was built per maintenance activity, we really didn't have any centralized database or anything. No real history. There's very little way to look up history on specific joints. And then each time you would do that maintenance activity, since you had no history, you'd have to rebuild everything. And there was no efficient way of tracking the status of the flanges. Basically, you put the tags out there, and then you'd basically pray that they came back.
Yeah, that's not too long ago, right? As I said, I understand the other way to see that your data was scattered, right? So you get multiple sources, multiple formats, multiple hard drives. Yeah, so you have been recorded in multiple ways. So very easily to get something falling, between the cracks of that system, and it can be quite time demanding to do all of that. At the end, you can have a decentralized system if it's cheap to maintain, but actually it takes much time, and time is quite difficult to get. So also you don't see trending, so you're just firefighting, putting together what has to be done today, and to move on. Especially in a country like yours that needs people, that resource is scarce. So it's quite, if you manage to get the most out of people in terms of and improve your integrity, that's even better.
Yeah, it was definitely very labor intensive, and you weren't getting the full benefit of a properly done flange management system. So
nice.
So streamlining your flange management program seems to cover multiple elements. Let's start by looking at these different elements and discuss how they can be streamlined. An asset hierarchy, for example, how was it before?
There was really no asset hierarchy before. We would make tags based on like the work orders that came through, hand write out the torque records as per activity, and there was really no way to search those back against the hierarchy or the asset. And you'd have to hope that somebody scanned those torque records after they're completed back into the system to even have a chance of looking at that history. So yeah.
Yeah, so those tags means there were no really harmonized tagging system or a way to connect that a flange connection with the two equipment. So how did you search for a history of maintenance without having those strings attached to a certain equipment in your asset hierarchy?
Yeah, like I said, you'd have to search the old work orders if you knew them, and who knows what that work order was attached to. It could be attached to the equipment or the pipe in. And then, like I said, you'd have to hope the planner put the Excel record in there. Yeah, it was a lot of work to try to find the history on something. So most of the time, it was just easier just to rebuild it yourself.
Yeah. So now probably you can use that new asset hierarchy, or an asset register, and identify which are your critical flanges, which are your bad actors, and which type of flange requires more maintenance or had given you the worst results. I think now with the streamlined system, you can spend your time classifying them rather than searching for them with the tagging system.
Yeah, now that we have a overreaching database that's linked to all our equipment hierarchy with permanent flange IDs, it's very easy to find history on stuff. Since we use the same ID for the same flange every time we do maintenance on it now. That history is just built into it.
Nice.
We're also following the same hierarchy that we use across site through other disciplines as well. So anybody could go to, say, like a vessel, whatever vessel, and underneath that vessel will have all the flange IDs for it.
Yeah, we talk about the digital twin, right? So if you can start connecting your flange connection, your flange management program into your digital twin, you can even you're stepping from a paper all the way to a digital twin quite quickly, right? So by connecting and integrating those systems.
Yeah, so since we've attached all our flange data to our basic asset hierarchy there, it's very easy to link it, and then it also provides transparency across the site about our flange management data. It's very easy for anybody to go in there and find what they need.
Yep.
Okay. So another element of it would be the calculations, the flange calculations. How did you manage specs and torques calculations? Did you have to chase different departments and people to check the latest specifications and standards?
Yeah, so before, our site actually has four different sites on it. Basically, there's a refinery, there's a chemicals, and then 2 upgrading plants on it. Each one of them before had kind of their own way of doing things, I should say, their own specs. By having a centralized flange management program that overreaches everything, we standardize it across site. Same torque values, same specs. Just really helps with less confusion across the site. So pipe fitter can be working in chemicals today, can be sent over to upgrader tomorrow, and he's going to have all the same information. He's not going to have to go chasing anything, right?
Okay. And now, what about now?
I guess I kind of explained that there. But yeah, since we have a centralized flange management database and overreaching specs for everything, doesn't matter which part of the site you're on, it's consistent.
Okay. How about execution and planning it? How was that done before?
Before, we would build checklists on paper, Excel spreadsheets, and then basically print those off or even handwrite the tags as we needed them, and then just rely on the physical tag to say that that flange was complete. It was very labor intensive to track down those physical tags or torque records, then log them, right? You'd have to scan them in one by one and then upload them to wherever. It was a very labor intensive.
Yeah, I guess you also you very easily you miss or forget some of these along the way, right? If you don't have that master list to check against it, very easy to lose those along the way, right?
Yeah, so basically you just had little, like say in a turnaround environment, you'd have little lists everywhere, and then you'd have to somehow put all those little lists together and ensure that everything is complete, right? A lot of the time it was just crossing your fingers and praying. It was not a good system.
Considering that you bring that list correct every time, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Go back to the hierarchy before. What about now?
Yeah, so we plan everything in the FCM module of IMS. It's very easy to you basically just click the joints you want, attach those to a job. All those jobs are grouped under an event, and it's very easy to click with like 1 or 2 clicks to see the status of your event, all the flanges, whatever state they're in.
What about the compliance part? I mean, I guess you now can assure that you're more compliance to internal procedures, internal processes, right? So I guess how much time do you need to start preparing for those works as well?
Yeah, so takes us way less time to do the planning part. And then for the compliance, at any given point, we can say the status of our flanges confidently, right? Before it was you're going off not complete records, right? So say it's a lot better.
And you have to approve them, right?
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
as the person approving it, gives much more confidence that they are doing the right thing and they are using the right resources.
Exactly. So I got to approve everything on the front end and the back end. So gives me a lot more confidence in the execution of the job. And then
I'm not sure if you gone the, one full cycle. Have you done 1 year? So now you can take what was done last year and kind of predict also how much resources you're going to need for the next period.
yeah, we definitely do that. We've actually dropped our numbers because it's become more and more efficient as we keep using it. So yeah, it's
probably you cannot gain 15% per year, but in terms of cost reduction, right? Say I need 10-15% less hours to do the same work, right? So you can decrease that for some period. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't know the exact percentage, but we definitely have been decreasing on the planning phase and the sign off phase.
Yeah.
And it's been dramatic here the last year since we've implemented FCM here. So
maybe good to keep an eye on it and come with that business case.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that we understand that better organization, your asset hierarchy and planning leads to time savings and overall assurance, what about collection of data in the field? Guess this was also an issue.
Yeah, so basically, before it was very hard to collect the real data. Lots of times the guys would go out there, tighten the joint, come back to their office, fill out the tag or the torque record. Not really the best, right? Because you might go out there and do 10 flanges, come back and fill out those 10. Are you really going to remember each single one? Then also you stick those tags in your coveralls, go home for the day, the coveralls get washed. You know, it's very easy to lose a physical tag, especially in a working environment. So.
And what about now? I think it's always good to look back and see how much we have improved, right? So I think these the field activity is something that the technology helped a lot lately, right? In terms of bringing that processing power into the field. Is your team already using tablets to collect data in the field?
Yeah, so my whole team has tablets. We're able to sign off the protocols right in the field. I can see them in real time when they're signed off. Take photos and geolocate the joint as well, which is awesome. Then also, depending on what kind of criticality of the joint, we can use a simple protocol. So it's just a couple quick questions, basically ensuring the integrity of that joint, or else a full protocol, which goes through every single step. We use those for critical or problem joints.
Okay. Yep. Even for some more difficult work, you probably count with some offline capabilities, and we're also discussing how to go, let's say, one step further and start connecting with your torque wrench, right? Which you're torquing to, and say, can we share information? That technology is already there. That can take you to the next step. How useful or valuable are those features for you? The offline and the Bluetooth connection, for example.
The offline is awesome because no matter how good your coverage is on site, you're always gonna have spots behind a vessel or under some grading or something that you're not gonna have Wi-Fi service or mobile network service. And then for the smart tool, that's something I'm really looking forward to. We've trialed smart torque tools in the past. And yeah, it's something we really like to see.
Nice. Yeah. So so now I guess when you're talking about field work, you're thinking about let's say inspection reports taking a few days to be created, to be filled. The inspector will come back from the field with the hand notes, in his notebook, come back, sit down in the computer, download some photos, start preparing the inspection report in a Word file. That was actually at least how I grew up as an inspector. And been taking a few days to finish up all that work and create the file, import the between the coffees, and I have to go for another work, and then you get for another work, and then you accumulate and have to spend the whole Friday sending reports out. So I guess having that capability to come back into the office and just say submit, and then that's done. There's more time for coffee probably.
Yeah, so before, especially in turnaround situations where they want to get back up and running as soon as possible, we can't be waiting even 2 shifts for these reports, right? Now, basically, when they sign it off, we can sign it off on our side like within hours. So it's massive time saving on that end. So as soon as they sign it off, it's good to go. So
yeah, clear. Okay, now you have a lot of structured data in your Streamline program. How do you review all of that?
Right now, we use dashboards, and then we could create reports or overviews as per the job or as per the event. We attach our data through a Power BI, so we get a big picture look at everything, not just flange management. It's just one of the cogs in the wheel.
Yeah, I think it's also the technology you talked about, the Power BI and how you integrate. I think with the bringing a little bit the topic into IMS and the capabilities that an application can do, or having like a one integrity management system that will integrate data from your vessels, from your piping, from your instrumentation, from your pumps, from your flange management. You can get actually pretty good results to crunch that even outside the Power BI. There's I think today this technology it's coming into these applications as well. So you have one less integration, because these integrations you need to map all the data you want to get out, maybe get an export file, and then you dump into some other places. But I think the dashboard for me is the start and the end of that workflow, right? So you look at the planning, how you crunch your data, how you look forward, and then you can also look back into a different dashboard probably.
Yeah, for sure. Dashboards are definitely the way to go.
It's time to conclude our conversation for today. Luiz, any final words from your end?
I always have something to say, probably. I think it was a very good exercise to do that with Zach. It's also coming from me from Cenosco, looking at what do we have as a product, and having that closer contact with the heavy user that is driving the development of that, and see where actually the IMS, FCM, for example, that's of course the two that we are working together to streamline your Flange Management Program. How actually each of these features and these elements help individually to make a much better system. So if you ask internally, like, the hierarchy is just the foundation, but it actually, you get a lot of value from structured data. Defining a specific tag number, an equipment ID for your flanges, and start bringing that to an SAP, bringing back to your digital twin, all the way to the calculations, how you organize your specifications, right? All the specs are now clear in the bucket, with the control. So if you change, you get a timestamp So your calculations, your job planning and job execution, all the way to the field, to that, manual work, quality control, capturing the torque values and approving the job, right? So if you cannot approve that work, your condition history, if you don't get that torque value right? So it forces the users to really look into that and make sure that it's consistent. So I'm very happy to work with you, Zach, on these on the preparation of these content, of course. So that's I'm quite happy to have that, and I guess you also learned a few more things from our end. So I'm very happy with the outcome of this.
Yeah.
Well, Luiz can talk about IMS for hours. So, Zach, if I would ask you to name 2 features that really help with streamlining, what would you pull out?
Well, there's way more than 2, but some of the bigger ones that we found for our site that really helped streamline us is the shared hierarchy between our disciplines, and then the digital sign-offs have saved us so much time on the planning and execution end compared to how we did it years ago. And just to go off Louise's point there, I've used a couple different Flange Management Programs, and the FCM or IMS has definitely been leagues above the other ones. So.
Oh, that's good to hear. Well, thank you both for this discussion. I want to make sure that we leave enough time for some questions that we received. So if you're okay, I would like to bring up the first question that I got here. It's a question: what is a good torque tightening strategy? Apply torque or not? Zach, is that one?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we apply a controlled calculated torque with a calibrated tool for every flange we touch. It's just best practice for us on site. And we don't want to differentiate between flanges. We just make it simple, and basically, if it's a flange, you torque it with a calibrated tool. Yeah.
Good. Another question about flange labeling systems. Do you use digital tags, Luiz?
Yeah, I'll take that. So I think the labeling system, it's something you define whenever you start to implement that system. I think you need to keep in mind what is the structure that you want to use. Do you want to give a label or a tag based on your equipment? Yeah, based on your pipe or your vessel, for example. I think you can call a digital tag, but you can also call that as how do you call it, a dummy tag, but it's like more like a virtual tag, if you want. It's part 2 halves of 2 different equipment, but you assign a new number, and that numbering, that labeling, will go into the 2 equipment. And it's important to keep that connection, and of course you can use those tags to sign off and to manage the whole history about that flange.
Okay. Next question: how can flange management be streamlined in day-to-day maintenance activities?
For me, I mean, if I can come into your area, Zach, I think the what we covered today, the steps, right? And you look at asset integrity as an asset management and asset hierarchy, how to map them, how to label them, and how to calculate the whole specifications management. You don't do that often, right? So you do that, a lot at the beginning to set up your program, collect the data, run the torque values. But at the end of the day, you just basically planning and execution back to back. So you're going to do a lot of schedulers and DCHs and the planning and execution going in the field. So actually, the streamline you take a benefit mostly from the day-to-day work. Yeah, that facilitates your daily job. Those guys goes every day in the field. It's a report after report. If they get sick in a day, the job will accumulate. Somebody will have to work on those reports. So, on your way back to the office, you can just actually go ahead and approve them and say, let's get another coffee. Is that right, Zach?
Yeah, so that's the biggest thing for us, is to make it easy for the people actually doing the work. Make it easy for them, and everything else will go good. So, just like what you said.
Yeah. Okay. I think this is a question for you, Zach, that I have here. You know all about low temperatures, I heard.
I don't know about that.
It's quite chilly there, I hear. Here's somebody asking, how should flange management be done in an insulated line which is at low temperature?
So it is chilly here, and we have lots of insulated lines, but we really don't have very low temperature lines. But I would do it the same as any other flange. You could use a simple or full protocol based on how critical you think that flange is. But to work on that flange, you're gonna have to take the insulation off. So it's gonna be the same as any other flange at the end of the day, right? So
yeah, no difference. Okay, clear. Here's somebody asking, linking to digital twins. How would you do that?
Yeah, I'll take that one. It's the digital twin and other systems, right? Like not only a digital twin where you see the 3D models and other type of information, but also like your CMMS, your SAP, your Maximo. You're always connecting those through an asset hierarchy backbone, right? You have that equipment tagging with the proper, site plant unit kind of approach. What are your loops? So you start working on that hierarchy, and IMS has been built on the backbone of a CMMS that's been implemented for longer. They hold they are the master of the hierarchy. If you mirror that, and other systems will mirror the same hierarchy, it might make the connection, the interface between them much easier. And we're not talking about linking a digital twin in IMS. Is not too much about sending IMS data into the digital twin, which happens, but it's also looking and receiving a lot of the 3D models or isometrics or other type of drawings back into IMS in the hands of the inspector. So, the link with that asset hierarchy, and then you're going to consume your digital twin data into IMS, so you can actually, flag your anomalies in IMS and, connect the picture with the model and say, add an arrow to this location. So it adds a lot of value. It's a good question about the digital twin.
Yeah. Okay. Here's somebody looking for some advice. Maybe this is something for you to answer, Zach. How would you advise to handle non-standard flanges?
We handle, or I'm assuming they're talking about like exchanger channel heads, special equipment flanges, but we track them just like we do our critical joints in FCM. Of course, we'll have different specs for those ones in there, but yeah, it's part of our flange management program. We track them, we quality control them, and yeah.
Next question, how would you reuse calculations for the whole assembly? So all flanges in the same process.
Yeah, I'll think that is a bit more on the functionality side of when I talk about a flange program and the software. They need to work together, right? So here we're looking on how to do. If I understand the question properly is about doing things in bulk, right? Getting a specification and reusing that specification, reusing the calculation. So it's about replication. And for me, it's a lot of activities that you can do in bulk. So there's a specific design environment that you can have a quick view of the specifications and basically reuse them, align, and you can apply filters and queries and start grouping and analyzing those. I think a group of flock, it can be a unit. Yeah, so it is possible in the system. You can also, of course, export into an Excel file and kind of start replicating that in an Excel and then bring it back again. But the tool already offers a lot of those possibility to do things in bulk, also with the help of dashboards, right?
Yeah. Okay. Then another question. Let me see. Something also got into the chat. Let me first ask that one. Here's somebody asking material management. How is this carried out? Some sites manage this within the MMS. Can an interface be built with the CMMS to identify if materials are available for better planning?
I think is the question about like a spare part management and say which gasket do I need to have in stock prior to the maintenance? Is that what you understand, Zach?
Yeah, so I use it for that. Basically, before an event or maintenance activity, I'll run the report saying how much studs, gaskets, nuts I need, like the grade and everything, and then cross-reference that with what we have on site and get the tires to order it if we need more, right? So
Yeah.
in a way, yes.
It's basically how we call in IMS is the specs, right? You got the list of specs. I mean, to run some of the calculations, you actually need your gasket type, your dimensions, so you have all that specification. So it's basically about extracting that, right? And say, and you actually go to the granularity on exactly how many do you need, and make sure you have an inventory for that. And all the bolts and nuts,
Yep. So you could group jobs to like one maintenance activity, and then you could pull a report saying how much gaskets you need of what type, what size, what rating, right? What bolter you need, etc. So.
Okay.
Nice.
Thanks. Well, guys, that got us through all the questions. Our time is up for today. Zach, Luiz, thank you for this informative discussion and answering these questions from our attendees. All the viewers here watching, thank you for your time. It was great to see you again. Please take note that we will soon be this webinar is recorded and it will soon be available on our website to download. And then before we go, I would like to mention that we are also already planning the next IMS webinar. I don't have the date just yet, but keep an eye out for that. We target January, so we will be back to you soon. For now, thank you all. Have a great day. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you soon.